Good morning, everyone out there in LinkedIn land. It's Cliff with GluDown. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Concrete and Coffee, brought to you by GluDown. Before you guys tilt up, make sure that you glue down. Today I have the man, the myth, the legend in the concrete tool world, Mr. Scott Brening of Superior Mag Vibe Tools out of California, right?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Man, I've been watching you for quite a few years, and I remember the very first video I saw of yours. You
Oh,
were
yeah.
on a job site, and this was a long time ago. It's probably like 6 years, probably 6 years on the dot, actually.
Okay.
And it was your first gen, and you were out there just promoting it with a contractor, getting out there on a job site. And I think at that same time is when I had the revelation as well. Like, man, I need to just get out there and show people what I'm doing. It was right about the same time. And so I'm glad that I've stayed following you because it took this long for me to see what you do, like more in depth, and get to know you as the man. And tell us a bit about the Superior House. Give us the background and when you took over and kind of like what your mission was, because you have a unique history. Like I said, the power trial end of things, and then you kind of run on the show later on and stuff, and keep innovating. What was that looking like?
Superior Power Trial goes way back. And my dad was good friends with Leonard Maggio, Superior Featherweight Tools. He invented the rocket handle. So that revolutionized, the knuckle. And they had the power trowel business. And long story short, in 1987, my dad bought the power trowel business from City of Industry down in LA, brought it up to Roseville, California. Like I said, I'm 16 years old. I'm just low guy in the totem pole, just sweeping floors. And this progressed till when I was about 20 years old. And I don't know if you've ever worked for your dad. It's very hard. And I remember this one day in particular. I had a mullet back then, back when I had hair, and I had ripped jeans and I had a scruff on my face. And my dad's Mr. Business guy. He's very prim, proper, suit, tie. And he looks at me and goes, son, weren't you supposed to deliver those blades today? And I said, oh, I did. And he goes, you went like that? And I'm like, yeah. And so it caused a big rift between my dad and I. And I remember coming in the next day and I said, hey, look, I need to quit or I need to buy Superior. And it caught him off guard. And he was just like, son, I don't have anyone else to run this place. And I said, well, let me buy it. And at the time, again, this was back in, I would say 1990. There weren't much sales. It was scary. It was, I mean, especially looking back now, it was, and he said, son, I don't know if you'll ever be able to afford to provide for a family. I had no wife, no kids. I said, let's do it. So I bought it from my dad. I think it was finalized in 1991. And I just kicked ass for a long time. I engulfed myself in the business. And this is really before the internet, too. So this is before Instagram and Facebook. I mean, Facebook, I guess, was around, but I didn't know anything about it. So this was just literally put it in the back of my truck and go.
Yeah, it's funny because you talk about working for your dad. Very similar thing. He was doing home additions, and he had me helping framing them and hanging drywall. I I can do drywall. I hate doing it though to this day. But you know, showed up in the classic jeans and at least a shirt that wasn't totally torn up, or he had this faded blue polo. Try to look professional, and then there's this punk kid wearing like skate shoes that were like the way too big. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
Osiris or something like that. Skate shoes and my basketball shorts, like a typical like high school or middle schooler kid. And yep, I'm here to mess stuff up. You know, and same thing is like, hey, you need a. I know we're in construction, just bump it up a notch. And then as a young professional now, well, I wear a polo shirt, but ever since our company came out with the t-shirts, that's usually my go-to because I'm an on-site guy like you. So
Absolutely.
I
Well,
get
I think
that.
guys need to relate to you too. And if someone shows up in Dockers and a polo with like dress shoes on, the concrete guy's not going to really feel like they have a lot in common.
Yeah.
And that's my opinion.
Well, I rolled up to a commercial site one time with a chemical sales guy, and they were good guys to me. But I remember they were flying out. They're like, "Hey, let's go visit some jobs." I'm like, "Hey, make sure you bring your hard hat. I'll supply you with a vest if you want, or both. But make sure you have boots, some boots." He shows up. He's like, "Yeah, I don't wear boots." And I'm like, "We're going on commercial job sites, man. It's not a matter of if you want to or not." He's like,
Right.
"Well, let him come talk to me." And he's wearing like those like loafers with like the two little dangly knots on them.
Oh gosh.
And I was so embarrassed walking on that job site. I was just like, "Hey, this is the chemical guy.
Yeah.
His chemical's good. Don't let him. Don't judge him and the chemical together. Just hear what he has to say." You know. And I was
Yeah.
totally nervous about it, so I get it. And the being a guy in the field, it makes a difference when the guys can relate a little bit. You know.
Absolutely. I
Plus,
mean,
they'll be more honest with you.
well, and they say the first impression, right, is the most important. So when you roll up and someone sees you're in a business suit, they turn off mentally, I think.
Yeah, and not only that, but like I don't like being the typical sales guy rolls up with a box of donuts. So I try to. My local Salt Lake guys will know. Like I step it up when I roll up on a job. It's like I got empanadas. Like yeah, you got to take it up that notch, man. But
That's awesome.
so you've been all over. I every distributor of mine that I go to, I wouldn't say every.
Not yet.
The the more proactive ones. That's the best way of putting it. The more proactive distributors that believe themselves to be, hey, we push innovative products. I see your product on their shelf.
That's awesome. Well, it's been a long road. I mean, as you know, pushing a product, you can have the best product in the entire world. It's getting the customer, which is either the labor, the finisher, or the boss, to just take a glance at my product. So at the beginning, it was tough. I mean, it was really, really tough.
Yeah, and guys don't always want to push it. Like, there's the what do they call the early the early users guys and stuff. They're usually the ones that get like the they get the first version of things right because they're just willing to try. Like, hey, well that makes sense. And I know from what our company leader Chad Bruce has told me, and his dad, who started the original company, their earlier versions of how our glue for tilt up started, and then when it came out, guys were like, either it kind of worked depending on the environment, or if it was an environment that wasn't just dry and hot, they're like, that's a bunch of bull crap. And I'm sure they had to go and respond to like just having those like tough calls where you're like, I know, I know, and you're trying it, but like, hey, it's like going to a doctor, right? When they say they practice medicine,
Right.
they don't have it all dialed in. We're making improvements all the time, and I know they had a second version, and I think it was when our company came out with their low VOC glue that they weren't the leader at the moment in glue for tilt up. They were just these guys, and then when we came out with our low VOC version, it ended up holding significantly better than our past versions. And then as we stayed out in the field, the more you're out there in front of them, just working with it hands on,
Yeah.
the more it had been taken off. And then the guys who just had a bigger name kind of fell by the wayside.
Yep.
I You've had that challenge yourself, right? Like you had your first generation of your Mag Vibe, and you're on this awesome version of Gen 3 right now, right?
Yeah. Our new Gen 3 came out in July last year, and I've been shipping around the world. I do a 30-day money back guarantee. We've only had one sent back since last July. So that's incredible testimonial. And again, the reason I do the 30-day money back guarantee, most concrete guys are stuck in their ways, just like any other tool. They were taught using this product, and that's the one they're going to use, and they're going to pass it on to their kid or their labor, in their company. So I think that's the biggest hurdle, or was the biggest hurdle, is trying something new. Just think outside the box, try something new. So that sparked the 30-day money back guarantee. And again, I stand behind our tools 100%.
Yeah, I've always noticed that. And not only that from like the videos I've seen of yours and stuff, but some of your distributors. And so you've had to keep iterating the original version, we all had our challenges and stuff. Was that pretty difficult getting over those hurdles and then trying to keep your name up there? Like, hey, I know you had challenges with my product, but we're working on it. Just stick with me, and I'm gonna be delivering to you, and I appreciate you. Has that been a hard hurdle?
It has. And honestly, so when I had the power trowel business and I sold it, so that was called Superior Power Trowel. So I sold to Soft Cut back in '07. So I kept my name Superior Innovations, or I'm sorry, I started a new company and I asked my lawyer, can I keep Superior? He said, absolutely. Because for 20 years, people knew me in the industry. Oh, that's the Superior guy.
Yeah.
So I kept Superior Innovations. I started MagVibe. MagVibe was my first product. And my first one, we call the lunchbox. It was hideous. I designed it myself. I mean, it literally, I laugh at it. It's right here, actually. So this was my first one.
I saw, and I didn't see that until like 4 o'clock this morning
Yeah,
when I was on the treadmill looking at the old videos and stuff, and I was like, "What is that one? I've never seen that."
yeah. Well, actually, I should back up. This is my first one. This was a counterweight. You see it?
Yeah.
So I made this and I put it on my drill and I zip tied it to my rocket knuckle. And my crew is laughing at me. I said, I know it looks stupid, but let's just see if it works. And we're doing my own driveway. So I zip tied the trigger on the drill and just going, and I'm going across. And my dad actually happened to pull up and he's like, what's that? And I just kind of told him. And sure as shit, it was working. He's like, that's a pretty good idea. I go, I know, right? So I literally Googled it that night. No one had a vibrating bowl float, and that started it. So I went to my wife. I said, hey, I think we need to get a patent. So I spent a lot of money on a patent
That's
and
tough.
started with that version that I can laugh at now. But at the time, that was it. It was very heavy. So that was one of the downfalls. It weighed 11 pounds.
Yeah, it's got
My
some
new,
weight.
my new one weighs 4. So it's a huge difference, 4.9, I think. Um,
But if your concrete's already kicked off a bit, that's probably nice.
exactly. So I learned a lot. So going out onto a job site with that version, and I had a control of variable speed so they can control the vibration. I call it Tim the Toolman Taylor syndrome. Every freaking guy would just crank it up. They would start pushing across. Everything's working great. But then when they got to come back, they had it all the way up. It would just go brrr. And then they're going, it's a piece of shit. I'm in my mind, I'm going, you had it up all the way. Of course it's gonna sink. So that was hard. So in I would say 2015, I hired an engineer. He took my idea, the concept. This engineer had no background in concrete, whatever. But I'm trying to explain to him what we're trying to do. So then we came up the first one in 2016. And again, I hate to talk about 2016, but I think you guys need to know about it just because. So after hiring the engineer, and I hired this OEM manufacturing company to build it for me. They're down in LA,
Hmm.
and every single one broke. So I went to World of Concrete. I won most innovative product at World of Concrete.
I remember that.
I sold a whole bunch of units. We ship them out. Every single one broke. It was the best year of my life and the worst year of my life, literally.
Big swing.
It was hard. So my wife and I too. My wife runs the office here, so we're definitely a family-run business. And the hard part about this is that when the phone rang, I knew it was a pissed off customer on the other line. So I had to take a deep breath, just and talk to them. And I'm looking at their shoes. You know, my dad always said, put yourself in their shoes. I'm a contractor. I just spent $600 on something and it broke. I'd be fucking pissed. So I had empathy for them. I understood their position. I'm apologizing. And I truly think, looking back now, guys, they're like, oh my God, this guy probably took my money and ran. I'm never going to get it. I warranted every single one. It
I
sucked.
I heard that actually.
I mean, it sucks. So yes, it sucked. Then we warranted it. But then I gained a customer for life, in my opinion. These guys went from happy to buying it to pissed off and it broke. And then I replaced it again. And little thing, I sent them shirts and hats as apologies, we had to think about that. And what broke was a casting that was literally the size of my finger. Instead, and then we switched it to 3 of my fingers. That's how much we beefed it up.
Yeah.
Um, so it took probably 6 months to redesign, recast, get the moldings, get everything. So we have phone calls nonstop for 6 months, just pissed. We started shipping them out, and then things got better. So we call it the J series. So we had my version, the lunchbox was number 1. Then we had the Magvibe Pro in 2016. Then in 2018, we came out with the J series. So that was
What do they
the
call it? The J series.
we just wanted something different. I wanted something because Magvibe Pro was just I needed to know which series or which model they had. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's why the new Gen 3, I literally took 2 years to redesign. We listened to contractors. Hey, what would you want? What do you want to make it better? And just like everyone has their own opinion. So I had to sift through all of this, if you will, filter everything, and we made it water resistant now. I was embarrassed. I used to tell guys, hey, clean it with a damp cloth. And concrete guys, I mean, that was ridiculous. So I went to my engineer and I said, hey, we're starting over. We redesigned it, and I'm very proud of this one. I mean, we've had 0 issues with the new one.
Well, just the one.
Well,
Just the
well,
one. Yeah, yeah.
and I don't even know why the guy sent it back, really, which it was through one of my dealers. But again, I'm not going to please everyone.
Yeah. Can't.
It's okay. Everything that I've been getting, and this is probably the most rewarding phrase, when a guy will call up and goes, hey, I bought your J series. Okay. He goes, it broke. I'm so sorry, man. He goes, I want to buy a Gen 3. So when you have a returning customer who bought my older one, spent the money, and now wants to get into a Gen 3, that means the world to me. So, and guys say, hey, my guys now refuse to pour concrete without using a Magvibe. So we've come a long way. And the old timers too. I remember this one day I went out on a job site. This guy was doing a tilt up, and he's been in business for 35 years. And I bring up my idea, and he looks at me and goes, I've been doing concrete 35 fucking years. Why do I need a Magvibe? And I said, sir, I could talk about it all day. Just, would you try it? All right. So he yells over his foreman, hey, put this thing on the slab. Within, I'm not exaggerating, 3 minutes, he watches it goes across, and it's improving their productivity, like instantly.
Yeah.
He looks at me in 3 minutes after saying, I don't need this fucking piece of shit little vibrator. And he goes, all right, I'll take 2. So that was the greatest.
Is this a California contractor or is this Texas?
This was actually in Texas.
Okay. That's what I was wondering, because you said tilt up, and I'm like, well, California will say they're the king of tilt ups. Texas, I feel, is early adopters of a lot of new stuff, but you have to go on site and be like, let me just show you.
Yeah.
So, this wouldn't happen to be
I don't remember the guy's name.
okay, but you probably remember the company name. If you can't say, I get it.
No, I can't even remember. I just remember, and again, you being a salesman, you understand cold calls are the hardest. I think I was driving by and I saw a boom pump. I'm like, I'm gonna go over there.
Yeah.
So they're looking at me like, who the hell is this guy? And I'm walking out with my, my Magvibe in my hand. So yeah, the beginning days were very, very tough because we're literally changing the way concrete guys do concrete. So you're changing their philosophy on how they were taught by their mentor.
Hey, try being a glue guy. I'm fighting against the nail. And now we came out with like our plastic reveals and stuff, which, God, normally I have a bunch of them, right? And so we get guys to start gluing, and they're gluing everything you can think of, and some's working, some's not working because it's scientific. But and then we like say, hey, okay, you're gluing now. You're still having some challenges here and there, but let's eliminate the next thing, which is like their reveal, and whatever they're trying to glue, even form brackets and stuff. And you're like, you get me to steer away from the nail. Now you want me to steer away from wood?
Yeah, it's mind blowing. Some people hate innovation, and some people thrive on it. In my opinion, the younger guys coming up in the industry, they're open to trying new things.
Yeah,
But the old timers are they're stuck in their ways.
which is interesting because this is where I'll give a shout out to like a handful of my local guys. Obviously, because they're my local guys who I spend the most time with, or I used to. Lately, I'm so busy I don't get to. But like some of them, I've been doing tilt up here since like the '80s, and it was them specifically that said, "Hey, I want to try this or that." And actually, the second one of your products I saw was actually at this same contractor, and I'd throw it out here, but I have other contractors that local competition like, why'd you mention that guy's name? You know. But it was interesting seeing your product out there because when they were doing smaller buildings and the customer didn't want to pay for like a power trial finish and stuff, they had it was actually your first gen out there that
Okay.
they were finishing their panels with and stuff. And I still drive by some of those buildings that they did with it and stuff, and I was like, God, do you want? It doesn't matter the challenges I had, the concept was there,
Yep.
and that's what's really cool. But getting to that point, you've had I don't want to say competition because I don't think it's competition because of the way that you have kept your composure. When I get behind when I go behind closed doors, I'll throw the bird, whatever. I'll have a stiff drink and say screw that guy.
Yeah.
But you've had challenges and I think I've always seen you be professional about it on the social media end. And I've seen the other guys just want to trash you. And I'm like, dude, it's one thing if you're a competitor, but man, I'm like, it takes it down. I've been a knuckle dragger for a long time, and then I evolved a little bit and I learned to make fire, and I feel that some of these guys don't evolve that way, and it's just, dude, there's competition and there's guys that just want to trash it, and I think you've combated that really well.
Well,
Um,
it's hard. I think at the very beginning, because I spent a lot of money on a patent, I don't think people understand how much money and time, and you hear the cliche, the blood, sweat, and tears. That's real. That is seriously real. My wife and I, this is a true story. I was still doing concrete. I have my contractor's license, still doing concrete. I would do a full day, come home, have dinner, and then my wife and I would go in the garage and put these together in my garage. So it we came from nothing. We started this from nothing. So I own the patent of a vibration unit being attached directly to a bull float.
mhm.
This other contractor, local guy, 10 minutes from where I live,
This
he
isn't Keith, is it?
who?
Keith?
No,
Okay, I didn't know. Was Sinclair?
no,
Because he's pretty
uh,
close to you guys, so
he's very close. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
No,
guy's
no,
a
I'm
that
not
guy
gonna say
cracks
that.
me up. Okay,
I'm not gonna say the guy's name.
okay.
But when someone copies you, I think the knee jerk reaction is anger, and I was pissed. I was
Oh, copy. Okay, I thought you were saying a user or something
no,
of your
no. It's
stuff.
someone, because at the time to get it out there, I just went on demos just locally. Just so this contractor obviously saw my idea and wanted to capitalize on it, and he had to go around my patent. So mine is on the bull float. He put his in his pole.
Hmm.
So once I hired the engineer and everything, this engineer is really intelligent, smartest guy I've ever met. And he put it in perspective. He goes, Scott, competition is good. It's a compliment because you have something that they want. So I kind of thought about that. I'm like, okay, that's a really good way to look at it.
Hmm.
So I didn't get upset, but then we have a float that has a slope on it. We call it the
Yeah.
float. And again, first one ever that I know of in the concrete industry. And I was at a trade show and I was walking by this competitor's booth and I look over at his booth and sure he has a float that has a slope on it. So I was pissed. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. First copying my vibration idea, and now you're copying my float idea. So it's like he's trying to capitalize on everything that I'm coming up with.
Hmm.
So it made me mad. But then again, I sat back and thought about it. Look at McDonald's, Burger King, Home Depot, Lowe's. Competition is good, and you just have to embrace it. And again, take the high road. I try not to say anything bad. I just say everything mine has to offer, and what theirs have to offer, and let the customer decide.
Yeah, and I have to say, I wish when I was a distributor of concrete products that I had reached out to you. And I think I told you this like a month ago when we were first chatting. I had reached out to that other person, and I was like, "Hey, I'm just trying this. I know it's a high initial investment. Can you work with me on just the initial thing, and then I'll go to what everyone else is doing?" Nope, this is it. And I'm like, I haven't even played with this, so I don't know how to sell it. It sells itself, and I'm like, okay. And I wish I had reached out to you because knowing you now, like I guarantee you either A, you would have flown out here
Yeah.
and be like, hey, take me to any of your guys, and I'll work with them for the day. Or B, say, hey, I'm gonna send it to you. You better send it back, Cliff, or sell it right then and there. And I think the individual end of it, right? Because you had a progressive, bigger vision than what other people have, and
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons dude, I resonate with you. Like I said, I've been following you, and I can't believe it took me this long to even reach out to say, hey, I'm Cliff. I sell glue. I
And we found out we
also
have a lot
innovate.
of mutual friends too.
A ton, a
I
ton of
know.
people. By the way, we'll take this quick moment to say shout out to John Anderson at Bobcat of the Rockies,
Yeah.
Jeffrey Schneider with Valtech.
Yep.
There's a plethora of people
Yep.
that we know, man. It's a really cool world out there.
And that's
So
what's crazy. The concrete industry, it is a band of brothers. I mean, from residential guys to commercial guys, and like you and I talked about off air, how guys now are using the internet to to be proud of what they do and post what they do at work and on the weekends. So it's been awesome.
I'm glad you brought that up because we were talking about that earlier. The social media end of it, it's awesome. Like because you think, well, just for example, like when I asked you to do this, who wants to hear what I have to say? And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you know they do, but we want to be, what's the word I'm looking for here? Just cordial about it and nonchalant, right? But it's true. Like, there's these guys like Empire Tilt Up I follow on Instagram out in Australia. Dude, they post so much of their stuff that they do out there in Australia, and and it's just day to day stuff. But still, you're interested just to see different techniques and stuff, and and then also identifying the different levels of positions of people you reach. So you've been on. I started seeing you on Instagram,
Yeah.
or not Instagram, sorry, Facebook. That's what I followed you on the most, and that was years ago, back when that was my primary thing I hopped on. I'm not a big social media guy, even though people who watch this would probably argue. But and then you recently posted a video that I saw on LinkedIn about a month ago, and LinkedIn's been my big thing. So if I want to reach like big decision makers and stuff, then that's where I'm at, is on LinkedIn. Residential guys, I'm on the Facebook, but the Instagram is the guy who's got the tool in his hand. I've realized that's the guy either putting down my glue, he's finishing the concrete, and he's the one half the time bringing the ideas to the boss man.
100%. Yep. When you can see analytics, and again, I think both you and I are just self-taught. I don't know what I'm doing with social media. And also I didn't want to be that guy. Because I do my own recording. I hold the camera out and or I set up a tripod, and I don't want someone driving by looking like, oh, look at that guy Vane. He's videoing himself. I hate videoing myself, but I notice when I do it, my sales go up. So it's kind of I have to. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Diesel Brothers.
They're like 10 minutes up the road from me, but yeah.
Okay. So I started watching those guys and impressed as hell. I was like, look at what these guys are doing. They started from nothing, and then they have a show. And so I tried to just do as many videos as I could on Instagram. And again, my opinion, Instagram is 60 seconds. So a guy can look on his phone and not get dragged down with a 2-hour thing or a 30-minute thing. It's 60 seconds just to get your name out there. It's a short commercial. So
Yeah.
I think Instagram, Facebook, and like you said, LinkedIn is more business. Those are the corporate guys. Facebook, 100% residential guys. I mean, you'll get dealers on there too now because they see the power of social media.
Yeah.
And we try to interact with those guys too. And I really try and promote my dealers. I think that was a whole other hurdle too, because dealers don't want you selling direct. I don't want to sell direct. I
But you
want
want
to
to
sell
have that line of communication direct, though.
exactly. So it's really the chicken or the egg. And I remember the same thing happened back with the power trowel days. Our power trowel was the biggest, baddest power trowel out there. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. We used the best components, and since I sold it, these guys would tell me from White Multi-Quip and Allen, they go, Scott, if we will drove up to a job site and they already had a superior power trowel out there, he goes, we wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
even get out of their truck because we just knew it was the best. But since ours was the best, it was the most expensive. So our dealers, they don't want to put it on their floor, but then they get mad if I sell it direct. I'm like, wait a second. If you had one on your floor, you had every ounce to be mad at me. But if you're not putting it on your showroom floor, how is a customer supposed to see? So it's that chicken and egg.
This is a great opportunity, distributors, for us proactive sales guys. You need to have a stocking amount on your floor, and we will probably sell for you through our social media or out there with the contractors. We know you guys love us and you want to sell our stuff,
Yep.
but you got to get on the floor. And I'm gonna talk nice and loud into the mic so you guys hear me good out there. But so it's the pull through method, right? So is that when there's a harder area to penetrate, you find that you got to go out and work with the contractor. And it's been my experience that, like, hey, here right now, I'll sell you direct this initial purchase, and I say it very clearly in the writing. This one time only deal, I will sell you direct to get you to like it. But in this, you got to write down who you prefer to get your stuff through,
Okay.
and
I
then
like
and
that.
then we go to the that distributor and say, hey, I already have these guys using it. There's already sales coming from them, and you might have two or three contractors at that point before you go approach them. And it's like, just get on the shelves. There's already sales to get the ball rolling. Do you have that very often, or do you have to go to the distributors and be like, guys, let's go visit some guys? Because I know it's been my experience that it's been pretty tough, especially the last 2 years. Like, guys, let's just go out. Let's go out and depending on what gorilla you're dealing with, it's unlikely that you're going to get that time from a distributor to go out and actually push your product. Do you experience that?
Oh, absolutely. And I think bringing our Pro Tilt. So the Magvibe was my first product. Then we did the Pro Tilt, which just is a better knuckle. So it doesn't
Yeah,
vibrate. It doesn't. But I swear, hands down, it's the best knuckle in the world.
it's like
And
glass. I mean, that thing is like glass when it goes.
it's
Your
it's the
tensioner on it is
smoothest.
awesome.
Yeah, it's the smoothest thing. It's just like a differential in your truck. Heat treated gears. We use the best components. So anyway, I don't want to say names again because I'm not bashing. It's a process. But this dealer is the largest contractor in the United States. I mean,
Yeah.
literally. So I got into their store and it was a local store. I was all excited, and I drive up and I'm looking around and I don't see my product. So I go up to the counter. I go, hey, I'm with Superior Mag Vibe. Where is it? Oh, we have it locked up in the cage. I go, it's locked up in the cage. How is anyone supposed to see it if it's in the cage? Oh, well, we think it's so awesome. We don't want anyone to steal it, but no one's going to see it. So it's I've learned so much. Again, we need to be salesmen and do the legwork and then present it to them. I did a lot of research to GoPro. We all know what GoPro is now,
Yeah.
but the early beginnings of GoPro, he literally said, he goes, no one knew who the hell I was. He goes, I would go on stage, I'm holding up this camera, everyone's like, oh, he goes, I would throw free GoPros out in the crowd. And when you think about the dollars of that, he goes,
Yeah.
hundreds. He goes, I would just throw them out like candy into the crowd. Once they got out there, then people started talking about GoPro. And now look where he is.
It's an
So
Oprah moment. You get a car. You get a car. I'm gonna do that with glue. I'm just gonna get like those T-shirt can. That's probably not a good idea of a T-shirt
no,
cannon. Just
not with
a
glue.
14-ounce can of glue coming at you. But yeah, so sorry I interrupted you there. Go ahead. Continue on
No,
with
no.
that thought.
So again, I'm throwing pasta against the wall and seeing what sticks. I don't know. I'm trying to get my name out there. I know I have the best knuckle in the world. How do I get it in guys' hands? So my wife, like I said earlier, she does the office. We're yin and yang. She's very, very frugal. She's not an entrepreneur. This whole thing scares the living shit out of her. But, but I knew in my
Uh-oh, you're cutting out here.
gut
Uh-oh.
grow
Hope I
a
don't lose you
would
here.
send out. What are you doing? I said, just buy. They're going that, we're just 5%. They would use it. They're like, this is the best thing ever. Uh-oh.
Did I lose you? Oh no.
Uh-oh, you're frozen.
Am I frozen now? Okay, I got you now.
Nope, there you are.
Okay, yeah, it shows your signal's a little weak, but we're gonna rock with it. I got 3 minutes left.
Okay.
So the Pro Tilt, super glassy, super smooth. You got your 30-day money back guarantee deal, which I don't think hardly anyone offers without jumping through a bunch of hoops to get that to happen. Which I don't know if you guys
Well,
know
and
watching this, just call them.
now the Marshalltown deal.
Yeah. So a month ago, that was the last video I saw on LinkedIn. You want to go ahead and make that announcement again, real fast?
Absolutely. So I was approached at World of Concrete this year. It was an awesome story. The CEO comes up to my booth. I have no idea who he is, but long story short, he said, "Hey, I love your mag vibe. I love your Pro Tilt. I love your Pro Float. We want to sell those for you." And again, Marshalltown is the goat. They're the
Yeah.
largest. One thing I did not know. Did you know they've been around since 1890?
Oh, I actually got their. I probably one of the only. I don't know how many people bought it, but their history book. I bought that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
it's
read that.
amazing.
It's awesome.
It's truly amazing. Two brothers in Marshalltown, Iowa. So when they approached me, we negotiated a deal. So now every Marshalltown authorized dealer in the world is now has access to Superior. So I know this is my way of phrasing it, but it's like I was in the minor leagues and I just got moved up to the big leagues because of them. They're vouching for us. Marshalltown is vouching for Superior. It's absolutely huge. Not to mention, dealers get free freight on a very low margins with Marshalltown. So now they'll place their normal Marshalltown order. So you know what? I'll try MagVibe. Go ahead and throw MagVibe on there. Last week I was in North Carolina, my first ride along with a local rep and the regional manager.
We were
And
both in North Carolina at the same time, by the way.
stop it.
I was at the Outer Banks.
Oh, okay. And we went on, I'm just ballparking, we went on probably 15 to 18 sales calls.
Mm-hmm.
We batted 1,000.
Really?
Every single, so, the first one I could see they're like, oh, that's cool. The second one, the third one, they're like, holy shit. Because again, we're a unique product. We we are just saying we have a better widget. That's what we're saying. Our Pro Tilt is better than any knuckle out there. And I've never heard a contractor say, no, nah, I don't like that. So to have Marshalltown's umbrella and their distribution, we are going to, I think we're going to grow. We're already on huge growth from last year. We're at 63% from last year. This is before the Marshalltown deal growth. And now with Marshalltown, I mean, the sky's the limit.
Most definitely. And then just to reiterate, your tenacity, and I'm sure Marshalltown has totally seen this, and you probably in their conversation with them have expressed your journey. And I just got to say, Scott, I think your tenacity to push through all the stuff and just keep to it. Haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
You squash that. Keep innovating and follow your passion, man. Because it's like, don't let anyone tell you what you can or can't do. You're gonna go out and make it happen.
Well,
And
and thanks to my customer base too, and we have more products coming down the line. I can't even tell you how excited I am. I think are going to be bigger than MagVibe, and that's a huge statement. So we have parts in patent pending. I can't say anything about, but in a few weeks, I would love to come back and tell you about that.
yeah, definitely. In fact, I also got some stuff patent pending right now. So I think
Excellent.
this is a very exciting time. Well, to wrap it up, guys, if you haven't checked out Superior, right there, right behind him, superiormagvibe.com, Scott Brening, he's the guy. Him and his wife, man, they started this gig. They stayed with it. Innovative products. You can reach him. It's,
Yep.
I mean, I got his number. He answered the first time I called. So
Absolutely.
Reach out to them, try their stuff, 30-day money back guarantee. Also, other innovations coming out from GluDown, guys. It's a great time to be in concrete. Also, I want to do a quick thing here. Guys, the Tilt Up Concrete Association Tilt Up Expo is happening this October. Registration is open. GluDown's going to be there with new innovations this year. So I encourage you guys to get your tickets and stay tuned on stuff. Scott, thank you for coming on the show today, man. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Most definitely, man. All right, guys, stay classy.